Friends, good afternoon to all of you, and good afternoon to Dr. Ravi Kumar. Welcome back, and thank you for the second session. Uh, hope participant will enjoy your session. Ravi
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you. A very good morning, one and all. In fact, it's good afternoon. It's already 12 o'clock. So, once again, so I would like to say welcome you for the my second session. So this session, it will be on the introduction to CAD and 3D printing file formats. So this is going to be the purely based on the say data file formats. Let us start with introduction to a bit of introduction to 3D printing design, and then followed by say various design tools that are available for the 3D printing applications. In fact, how do you get your design that should be transferred to your 3D printing machine? So as of now, the STL is the de facto standard. So then we will focus on the STL file format, say the structure, the syntax and semantics of STL file, that will focus. And then, though this was invented in long back, means along with the SLA technology, the Charles Hull, he invented the same the STL file format also, but still it is going on a de facto standard, but it need not be the best file format that we will discuss in length. So what are the advantages of this STL file and the problems or the challenges of this STL file that now the current 3D printing industry is facing. And then there is a new file format, so which will address these problems and challenges that the STL file is facing nowadays. So that is going to be the AMF file format, which is introduced by ASTM F42 standard committee. So then this will address the problems and the challenges that the STL file is currently facing. So then we will discuss on the new file format called additive manufacturing file format, that is in a short form called as AMF file format. And then what could be the future of this 3D printing data file formats. So I have planned for this session. So these are the contents I have planned for the next 1 hour or 1 hour 15 minutes. So I will be talking on these topics. So let us start with the 3D printing design. Of course, design is a crucial part in your 3D printing journey. Why? Because you have a beautiful technology called 3D printing. Why? Because so it is going to mimic the nature designs. So then in that case, so we have to exploit this technology as maximum extent that you could do it. So that is through design. It is quite possible. Otherwise, so if your design is not to the up to the level of the 3D printing capabilities that we have been even discussing right from the yesterday's talk also, so then if one can have design, so that design should say consists of these benefits that we are talking about, say right from the beginning. So then it should be realized, means your design should be good enough to represent these any complex features, so that 3D printing can print, rather than the conventional fabrication process maybe struck somewhere if the complexity is more and things like that. So then design is going to be the crucial part. Then how do you make these designs so that is ready for 3D printable? So that's the thing. But I may not be talking much on that, but I can see some other speaker like design for 3D printing, that is actual say concept. So another speaker is going to talk on that. But my talk for today's is like the file format. So how do you say make it your file format that is ready for 3D printing? So that's what my the focus for this lecture. So let us start with the say the AM process, as we understood that it should start with a say design. So that design, then you may use a 3D modeling software by using some workstations. So then you could be able to say make the model through a 3D modeling technique. So then that's going to be the first step, say in this process. So and then further, so that data should be the data conversion should be happened. Why data conversion should be happened is, say I may use say CATIA software, and you may use ProE, somebody else may use AutoCAD, but the file extensions of AutoCAD is .dwg, and if you are using Creo, so it may be .prt, and if you are using CATIA, it may be .part, or if it is SolidWorks, it is SDL part PRT. So you have plenty of say file formats. The extension of the native file formats are different, but 3D printing machine cannot understand all these file formats. So then there should be a standard file format or a neutral file format. That's what. So your data should be, every time it should be converted, or it should be exchanged from a native CAD data to a file called STL, that is a standard neutral file format that any 3D printer can understand, the .stl file. So then we need to do a data conversion, though if you are using some modeling package, and that native CAD data model should be saved it as a .stl file, that is a standard file format that any 3D printer can understand. So that's what initially your data should be converted into a .stl file, and further it should be transmitted. Of course, the beauty of 3D printing is, say your designer may be sitting across the globe, and he can send that data, that design in STL file format. So you can transfer that data maybe through networks, through LAN or through WAN or through internet, or any kind of say network. So you can transfer your data, just you transmit that data to the 3D printing user, or the facility that the 3D printing facility is having. So then you can transfer that data, you convert that data and then transfer that data. And then before processing that data, we need to check the healthiness, or if there are some errors in your STL file or in your design is having, then we need to rectify, or we need to say repair that files. That's what you may use some checking. So before sending that data to the machine, or before slicing it, then we need to check this. So then if at all, if there are some errors are there in the STL file, so then we need to repair that. And once you are repairing that file, checking and repairing, and then finally we need to prepare the code. So that code is send it to the a typical 3D printing machine, right? So then my talk will be focusing these two steps, but after that we need to build it through say physical fabrication, and then using a post processing. Yesterday also we have spent a lot of time on this post processing and various methods. So then my talk will be majorly focusing on these two steps. Means so how do you transfer your data, and then how do you send it to your you have a front end software or an interfacing software along with the machine. So then there is an interfacing software. So before sending your data to the interfacing software, right from it has originated from any 3D modeling software, and then it should be check for any errors in the STL file. Then we'll discuss what are the various sources of errors, so that will come across in the STL file, and then how do you get corrected. So that can be say discussed further in the upcoming slides. So as you know that even yesterday also we have been talking about, say we need to say slice the data. So that slicing will be done based on the process parameters of your machine, that it is say if it is FDM machine or if it is a powder bed system, then what kind of model of the machine. Then so then based on that you can specify your layer thickness, and then parameters like if it is a laser system, laser power, scanning speed, say the toolpath strategy, or the so various toolpath strategies that you can adopt. So then once you set up all that, so sometimes we need to even change the orientation. So orientation, that's going to be the design for additive manufacturing or design for 3D printing aspects, which you can talk about. But anyway, that is away from my scope of my talk. But anyway, so what we need to do is like we need to say start with your say design that should be checked for some purpose, some errors, or if it is coming, and then we need to say repair those errors. So then what kind of errors that you will come across, that we'll discuss now. Say that CAD model which is free from the errors, and then of course you can proceed further, like so fixing the orientation, generating the supports. So then that's the process plan typically. So then any 3D printing system will adapt. But anyway, we'll move on to the next slide. So our focus will be on how do you get generated your 3D printing designs and the various tools that are available to do this job. And then one way of doing it is to model capturing. Means you have already physical model with you. Then we need not do right from the scratch. So then you can use some scanning devices and then some softwares like Kinet Fusion or Autodesk Recap, or you have Magix, you have GeoMagix, maybe other software, and you have plenty of tools that can be used here to capture your model. If it is already modeled through a reverse engineering or a 3D scanning technique, you can get captured. So that is a one way of doing it. Otherwise, you can go with any CAD design package like Blender or Fusion 360 or Maker, Rhino or CATIA or SolidWorks, any software that you are good in, or you are having the facility, then you make use of that CAD design to start your designing of your 3D printing model that you're intended to fabricate. And then I am talking about the repair, the mesh repair. As we know that the STL file is a triangular mesh. So that triangular mesh, we need to check for some errors, and then sometimes we need to get it repaired, that file. So in order to do that repairing say job, you may have some tools like a NetFab or even Autodesk Mesh Mixer, Mesh Lab. Magix is another software. So then you can make use of any one of these mesh repairing softwares to get it corrected your STL files. And once you have done that, your slicer software like Cura for FDM machines, these are open source softwares, and here also some of the open source softwares. And CAD designs also nowadays you have a lot of in fact Blender is also open source as tool, and similarly you may have open source tools in 3D scanning area also. Nowadays it's very easy to get these tools, so maybe the free of cost also, not like the previous case which we need to buy these packages by investing a huge amount of money. So then it is not that way. Nowadays you have open source softwares, even in the slicer softwares also you have Cura, it is an open source software, and Repeater and Simplify 3D, this is also open source software, and Slicer for Fusion, and so on and so forth. And this software will slice the entire CAD model into slices. And of course, you may be familiar about these, say, packages like ANSYS, Space Climb, or Autodesk Inventor, Siemens NX, SolidWorks. So you have plenty of tools to do this job. Some may consist of all these steps, or maybe some may have good in some of the say aspects. And this is about how do you get generated your 3D designs that is getting 3D printed, or otherwise you have some design libraries which is existing 3D models, like for example Thingiverse is one of the digital library or a repository which you can download these models, existing models that are available in these say digital libraries. In millions of designs will be available. So if it fits for your purpose, then you can make use of it. So sometimes which you may use, you may be adding some color texture. Why you are talking separately this color and texture? Unfortunately your STL file doesn't support color or texture, but your 3D printer can print in different colors, can print in different textures, of course can print in different material, but STL as such it doesn't support any of these properties. So then you may adopt some other tools like maybe Blender or maybe the GrabCAD is another tools. We'll discuss these tools. Sometimes you may use the other tools also to enhance the capabilities of STL file. So then of course you may adopt some of these tools available. So of course one way of very well known route will be a CAD design tools that you can come across in any typical CAD CAM CAE practice. The same thing which you can start with your 3D printing journey, say starting with the two-dimensional drawing and further three-dimensional wireframe, surface and solid models. So which you can, the solid model may be the preferable input for the 3D printing say technology. Preferably, as we know that a solid model consists of all mass properties and all the say a complete representation. 3D solid model supposed to be than a surface or than a wireframe. But preferably the solid model will be the best opted for 3D printing process. Then you start with your 3D solid model that you can say make use of any one of these tools available in the market in terms of say open source softwares like a Blender, or even in terms of software open source softwares like a Thinkercad. This is for making engineering modeling practice, or these are which I have listed. These are very good for a freeform or artistic or animation kind of say applications which your design requires some animated modeling or a kind of freeform or a sculpted kind of applications. Then you can go any one of these tools that you can adapt for starting your 3D printing journey by using these tools. And then Google SketchUp is also another say tool. And then of course you normally you may have these softwares in-house at your organizations or at your say companies, like you have SolidWorks, Inventor, Fusion 360, AutoCAD, Creo, CATIA, and so on and so forth. And then now the interesting part is nowadays even you can have an Android based say packages, say for example your mobile phone or your tab which is running in the Android platform. So then even you have Onshape is one tool that even you can start modeling your Android based device to start your modeling. So why I'm saying this is nowadays modeling is very easy. Even it is not that like previously we used to have only workstation or say high-end workstations, but it's not that way nowadays. So you have a cloud-based say these tools, or even it can be a browser-based tools. So nowadays these technologies is getting changed rapidly. So then even you can have very easy access of these tools available. So then you can start your 3D printing journey by designing of your choice of your model by using by adopting any one of these tools that are available with you. So and then as we are talking about the beauty of this 3D printing is nature-inspired designs that are easily fabricated. That's the beauty, right? So then you may come across in a recent times. So of course, the parametric modeling was the previous designing approach. So then you may use some boundary representation, you may use CSG, or you may use wireframe representation. But nowadays the recent trend like a generative design. So there is a generative design, and then topology optimization, lattice structures, and bio design. So these are the latest tools or the latest methodologies that a designer can use some kind of a generative design. For example, you take this case study. So this is an seat, say chassis, an automobile, say car. Say you have the seat and the seat frame. So this is a seat frame. The previous design, it was maybe around say 12 to 14 parts. But thanks to the generative design, so then you can make it all 12 parts in a single part, and then where you can even reduce the weight, and where you can even make more stronger than the previous design. That's what this case study is talking about, this design to this generative design. So reducing part count from say 10 to 12 to a single part, and 40% lighter weight, and 20% stronger than the previous design. So that is one way of doing a generative designs. And then you have a topology optimization, like where you can make more lightweighted structures. For example, in case of some aircraft bracket, this is an aero bracket. So which wherever you have design space, let that design space let it be. And wherever you have a non-design space, then you can make it more lightweighted. You can scoop out the material, and you can come out with the various versions of the designs, and then you can make more lightweighted structures. So through a topology optimization. Or if you go one step ahead, like you can even make a lattice structure or a bionic designs, which will mimic the biology of the cell biology, or the so then you can make more lightweighted lattice structure or cellular kind of a structure. So then your design tools are capable of doing this. So finally, who is the guy that is going to be fabricated, right? So the fabrication of these, either a lattice structure or a bionic designs, or a topology optimized structures, or a generative designs, how do you get fabricated? So of course, the additive manufacturing or 3D printing is the best way of fabricating these. As you know the reasons we have been talking about, the kind of mantra or the principles of the 3D printing. So then you may have different tools to do this job, right? From the generative designs, you may have Autodesk, and you have a CogniCAD for a kind of platform for making more lightweighting of the structures. And then you have a Frustum for topology optimization, and N-topology, there is one more tool for say topological optimization. And from Altair also, you have some Altair Inspire for topology and generative designs. So then making use of these tools, and then fabrication will be done ultimately with a 3D printing, say adapting the 3D printing methodology. So that's quite handy and quite easy to fabricate these nature inspired designs, not like a conventional designs which you come across, but it's a nature inspired in terms of a cellular say inspiration, anything. So it should be printed through. So then you have a different tools available to do this kind of a topology optimization. So right from the Altair, OptiStruct, and you have plenty of tools available nowadays. Some may be open source, and some may be a proprietary software like MSC, Nastron, or some extent nowadays. All these CAD/CAM CAE vendors, they are adopting this kind of a topology optimized optimization module in their say packages. So then make use of any one of these tools to optimize your designs topologically, and then you can produce or fabricate those topology optimized structures to 3D printing without much worry, or without having a difficulty in case of a traditional manufacturing that you want to produce these topology optimized structures. So that is no more because of thanks to the 3D printing technology to support any kind of complex designs in terms of topology optimized structures. So anything it can take any complex structures, it's getting easily fabricated. So, and then 3D capture tools, like we have been talking about, basically this is a reverse engineering or a scanning, 3D scanning approach. So then in the 3D model capture, we need to start with the physical model that is already existing physically, and then we need to use some 3D scanning or digitizers or some kind of a sensors. So something like your CMM, which you may use some touch probe or a stylus ball. And similar way, you may use either a contact kind of a scanning system or a non-contact like laser, white light scanners, so or even CCD cameras. So then you can make use of any one of these, say digitizers or the sensors, and then getting getting digitized this physical object into initially it is with the point clouds, so you touch on the surface of these physical model and get it recognized as a one three-dimensional point. So then like that you can touch on thousands or millions of points onto this something like machine vision, which you may come across your traditional inspection methods, the computer aided inspection methods. Similar way, which you can get it collected your point cloud data, and feature recognition will be done afterwards, and then you can convert that points into triangles, and then it will become your STL file. And further you can convert your triangles into a surface or in a curve, and then further you can generate a surface model. So then we can make use of either computer aided engineering for analysis or CAM or 3D printing. So whichever way you want to make use of these digitized data that is generated from the physical object. So this is the way of say getting the captured data. If it is already there, we need not right from the scratch, we need not models, then you can this is what I'm talking about. Like you may use some physical touch probe or a laser probes to kind of a non-contact sensing device, or it can be a CCD cameras, which you can collect the images can be captured in different angles, and then you can get it processed further and converted as a digitized objects. Even it can be a CT scanners in case of a medical application. So then you can get it started your journey. So by one of these as methods like say getting your design data for 3D printing, that is getting 3D printed. So then you may have plenty of tools available for doing this 3D scanning, practice, and you may have a Geomagics, you have a Kinet Fusion, Recap, and so on and so forth. You have plenty of tools available to do this kind of a 3D scanning reconstruction of the say physical objects into a virtual or a CAD models, which we need a CAD model that is in STL file format. So this is another way of getting your data through a scanning technology. So even you may come out with a kind of a repository tools, means some digital library which is already there, somebody has modeled and kept it ready in that community. So then you can become the subscribe that particular community. So then you can start downloading those models, or you can add to that digital library whatever you model from your end. So then you have such kind of a digital online libraries or a repositories. So these repositories, so to name a few, so which you can try with a GrabCAD. This is a one repository, so exclusively for engineering applications. And all these are free of cost. You can download these models, but remember it should be used for only the personal usage, but don't use it for any commercial usage of these CAD models or STL files. So then you can go and subscribe. You have millions of designs, that is in terms of STL or IGS or a step or any other file format, or .part or .prt or SDL PRT or whatever the other CAD/CAM CAE native formats that you can come across in a typical CAD domain. So then even you can have a Thingiverse is another repository exclusively for you're looking for some kind of a hobby sake kind of models. So then you can go and visit this Thingiverse website. You can even download millions of models right from your COVID masks, COVID shields. Everything is available here. So then, but don't use it as a commercial purpose, those models, but you can use it for your personal usage or your educational purpose. So there won't be any objection, or there won't be any copyright issue. But of course, everything should come under the Information Act. So if somebody is misusing, or so somebody want to put some sue or some kind of thing, so it should be under the cyber laws. It will come. But anyway, once you are not using it for any commercial and you are not misusing it, so then you can make use of these for your education purpose or some personal usage. So then you can make use of these models and you can download them, and then you can start getting using it. Or even you can add your own models that you have model it from your end. So then you can share in that community. So once you have become the subscriber of that a particular community or a particular repositories, so then you can very well use these kind of models in that. So then another aspect is a medical aspect, as we are known that the 3D printing is very good in terms of medical applications. So then we can start with taking a digital X-ray or a CT data from a patient. So that normally that is the digital data which you will come across for the a patient in case of a medical domain. So then you can start your journey by either taking a CT or a MRI a scan data collected from the CT scanner, a medical CT or MRI scanner, and then you may use some medical image processing tools to further say enhance the capability. Say basically it is an grayscale images once you collect from the CT scanner. Then you make use of these medical image processing softwares. So a COVID patient is there, then you can even say take a CT, chest CT of a COVID patient, and which you can make you can reconstruct these images in terms of the lungs of a particular COVID patient, or if you are looking for some rib is your region of interest, and even you can segregate or you can feature recognized say ribs can be identified, and then you can even segregate lungs and any nerves or muscle data. So then you can very well use these medical image processing softwares, and then you can make a virtual model that is in STL file format. So then you can print them by using the 3D printer, and then the COVID patient lung can be printed, so that you are started with the CT data of your COVID patient. So then in that way, which you can make use of these medical image processing data, or basically a CT or MRI images. Even it can be any endoscopic data, or even it can be a angiogram data, but it should come with a DICOM image. So once you get that in a DICOM image, then your medical image processing tools can take that, and then further it can reconstruct it into your region of interest, or your organ of interest, or your tissue of interest that you are looking at. So then you can make use of these tools. And sometimes we need to take this data into a CAD modeling tool. So to do design some implant that a patient is needed, then you can back and forth from the medical domain to the CAD domain. So you can exchange the data. And then you can do a simulation. A surgeon can do a simulation. So before going to the actual surgery, he or she designed some implant, a femur a ball, so that is fitting onto the pelvis, say pelvis portion, and then which he or she can do a simulation of that data. Why? Because this data is taken from the patient body. So then you can design this implant as a designer. So then you can check whether it is fitting properly or not. Any design changes that it needed before going to the actual operation of this kind of implant placement. So then you can do a lot of simulation stuff, and you can do 3D say computer models that it can be generated by using this. And sometimes an orthopedician needs to do some finite element analysis of his bone or implant that he has designed for a particular patient. So then he or she can make use of a finite element analysis to test for the some maximum load conditions. So our CFD analysis can be done further. So a neurosurgeon or a kind of a heart surgeon or a cardiac or a neurosurgeon, typically they need to analyze the blood flow or the body fluid flow. Then you may use even a CFD analysis for such kind of applications, and do finally make a physical part of it, a physical model from the 3D printing technology, and you can make use it for the planning the surgery, rehearsal surgery, or even implant placement or tumor. This is basically, you can see there is a tumor. So then you can do a lot of surgical rehearsals on these models. So then you can do a design validations of these implants that you have designed for a particular patient. So you can do a several folds. You can have these advantages once you can integrate your medical data with this 3D printing applications. So then you may have different softwares like Mimix is the one software, and then 3D Doctor, Simpleware, and then if you are looking relatively less expensive or rather than an open source software. So 3D Slicer is an open source say a software that it can do these kind of medical image processing tasks. Then you can start with taking a DICOM image and getting converted as a STL file. So that is ready for your 3D printing to print that particular say biomodel that is gathered from the patient data. So then you can make use of these tools, either in terms of a proprietary tools, or you can have an open source tools. So then you can make use of them. And now we will come to the next part of the presentation is STL. So STL, so either you get it through different sources. Just now we have discussed, say, 4 kinds of say various say routes, maybe right from the CAD modeling, or maybe reverse engineering, or maybe repositories, or maybe medical data. But ultimately it should saved it as an STL file. So then what is an STL file, and what is that file format consists of? What is the syntax and semantics of this file structure of STL file? So first of all, why an STL file? So then of course, which we need to interchange the data. Then why do you need to interchange your data? Why can't it be directly taken as a .prt or .dwg? So of course, which you can extend the same say principle that you may use in a office printer. So then you may have a .doc or .jpg or say PDF. So then your printer in turn, it's getting transferred into a PostScript language, and then that PostScript can understood by any printer. It can be HP make, or it can be Canon make, or it can be any make of these printers. So it can even easily convert your data or PostScripted into a particular format, and your printer can print them easily. Similar way here, if you contrast the same PostScript version of your 3D printing, of course, it's going to be an STL file. So this STL file, even you can source from any one of the procedure that we have discussed previously. You have 4 ways of doing it, getting generated STL file. It may be more than that. You have some video gaming data. Yeah, that's also which you can everywhere, wherever you have the digital data, and then could be able to convert as STL file. So that is an interface for your 3D printing say journey, right? So then what is an STL file? So STL file basically in triangular mesh. So this triangular mesh, so it is something like your finite element mesh. So but the element every time it will be in a triangle. So the triangle you are approximating it, you are tessellating it, rather than you are approximating your whole outer surface into a say the number of triangles. So then this triangle, why is triangle is going to be the simplest of all polyhedra. So it starts, polyhedra starts with the triangle. That's the first the simplest polygon that you start with is of course it's a triangle. So then this triangle if you take a typical design file, it consists of geometric information, that is like a shape, size, dimension, and then of course it must have some color, and it must have some texture, and it must have some material. What kind of a material that you are going to use? This is a mild steel, or maybe polymer, or some say metal alloy, something like that. So it should have some material property, right? So a typical a CAD design file must consist of a design data, non-design data also, maybe some manufacturing data also, if you take a step file or IGS file, so which it consists of all. But unfortunately, your STL file does not have a color or a texture or a material, or even a file security is also not that much great. So in fact, it doesn't have a topology also. It have only the geometry. Means it have only the say coordinates. It's a three-dimensional coordinates. Basically, it's a three-dimensional model. You have the triangles. So you may be having the coordinates of these triangles. So that is in a three-dimensional, but it doesn't have color, texture, material file, and any kind of mass property that it is as such. It doesn't have. So then how do you say give a color, or how do you assign a texture, or how do you assign a material for this STL file? And of course, you may use other formats. Maybe .obj is meant for an object file. So which your obj file is not an approximation file or not a tessellated file. So your free form curve surface will be a free form curve surface. But whereas in STL file, your free form as approximated with a triangle, say triangle face or edge. So, but here OBJ is not that way. And then you have a material.mtl file that's called a material file. So which you can, of course, once you're using in a .obj or .mtl file, so which you can have even a color, you can have material property also. And then keeping in mind that so recently ASTM has come out with a new format that's called .amf. AMF stands for Additive Manufacturing File Format. And then parallelly, Microsoft is also developed one file format called .3mf. So this .3mf or .amf. So it's going to be the complete representation of the design. So means, what do you mean by complete representation? So which STL file is not having color, texture, material property, everything it will be there in terms of .amf of 3mf. But unfortunately, this is not adapted by all the CAD/CAM CAE vendors. But somehow, but some of the CAD/CAM systems even can allow you to save your file as .amf or the 3mf in the recent packages. So you can get it these file formats. But STL can be get in all these packages and everywhere. The most popular file format is STL. But we'll discuss about the more detail about the STL file. So STL file is about the triangular data, as we already said. So if you take a typical cuboid, so you have totally 6 faces. On each face, you may have typically 2 triangles. So these 2 triangles means 6 into 2, totally so 12 facets, or the 12 triangles that a typical cuboid is having. But if you take a typical sphere, so the number of triangles may be more than 12. So obviously you have a free-form surface or you have a curvature. So then the approximation takes a more refined mesh. So then you have a more number of triangles. Then if you take some other shape and you have a different number of triangles. So then you can save this data either ASCII or a binary format, like unlike your CAD data. So then you have you pick one triangle. So that triangle consists of say 3 vertices. And remember that is a 3-dimensional triangle. So then you have the x coordinate, y coordinate, z coordinate of your vertex 1, and similarly vertex 2, and similarly vertex 3. So you have these coordinates. And apart from this, say vertices, you have a normal vector which is perpendicular to this surface. Means each and every triangle, so it consists of a normal data also. You start with a normal vector data and then followed by the coordinates of the vertices v1, v2, v3 in 3 dimensions. So like how many triangles are there? So it consists of all that coordinate information of this triangle. And if you see a typical ASCII code, ASCII format of a STL file, so it consists of all this information. But if you go to the binary file format, of course, it's a machine readable format, which you may not be able to understand that binary code. But if at all, if you want to manipulate or if you want to say further modify, and the preferred file format will be in ASCII format that it should be saved. And then it has to satisfy some requirements of the STL file. So that is, it should satisfy the right-hand rule. So then means you have the say 1, 2, 3 means you have the kind of anti-clockwise convention. So then you can say it is exterior surface, and it is a clockwise notation 1, 2, 3 like this, and you can identify that particular say triangle maybe belongs to an interior surface. And that's the right hand rule which any typical STL file should follow. And vertex to vertex rule means there must be a common say triangular edge or the face that you have say two adjacent triangles, and you must have a common edge of the triangle. That's about a vertex to vertex rule. So it has to satisfy these two rules, any STL file. And then we talk about the advantages. It is easy conversion. So, and then wide range of inputs it can be supporting, and simple slicing algorithm. What do you mean by simple slicing algorithm? Is next step is we need to slice the model, and while slicing it, so we need to get the slice point. So the computationally, so your triangle and the basically an edge, the cutting edge is your planar edge that is getting sliced. So then if it is a triangle, every time it is a simple calculation which each involves the intersection of your plane with the triangular edge. So it is more simplified slicing algorithm rather than any other shape or any other curve if you are adapting. But that's the biggest advantage. And we can ability to split these models. Say I have say 500 by 500 by 500 model, but my printer can print only 250 by 250 by 250 is the build volume. So then I need to split these models in 2 parts or 3 parts or so many parts which I need to. And then we can easily split if it is an STL file. So with this, some of the advantages, but still you may have several problems that we need to discuss about the STL file. What are those problems of the STL file? So then you may have that problems may be due to boundary representation, that is because of approximation, or maybe some intrinsic to the STL file, maybe file size, truncation error, incompleteness, inconsistency, inconsistent normal, incorrect normals, and that we'll discuss one by one these. And some problems may be due to conversion algorithms that your CAD vendor maybe may not be using a robust algorithm to say convert this data, and then finally you may end up with some gaps or some internal walls or some degeneracy, some kind of errors you may prune. Your say CAD/CAM package may be generating some kind of errors in terms of while converting this data into STL file. Then obviously, so approximation, as we already discussed, like say any free-form surface that is approximating with the triangles, means basically you are approximating it. You are not representing 100% a curve as a curve. It is a triangular edge. A curve is say approximated with the triangles. So whatever maybe the shape of this model, but it is getting approximated with the triangles. So just the biggest say error or the gap or the this is going to be an approximation. It's not going to be a kind of what you call the exact representation. So then you may have the file problems, like you have the file size may be too big. That may be another problem which we can why? Because you have a huge redundant data in your file. Why? Because that is maybe because of say syntax and semantics. So but it is making a very a lengthy file. The file size is large, and the truncation error sometimes say once your designer is saving this data in some geometry, but in turn while converting it, so your say double precision is maybe taking it or converting or truncating it to a single precision real number. That may be another issue. And it may be an incomplete representation. Why it is an incomplete? So it doesn't have a topology, though it have a geometry, means it have a say dimensions, it have a coordinates, but it doesn't have the connectivity, or it doesn't have the associativity. So that's about the topology. So it doesn't have the topology in fact the STL file, and it is an inconsistency. It is inconsistent. So wherever you have joining these two STL files, so that appending portion, so there is a huge inconsistency. That's another problem that we can address. And inconsistent normals, the normals should be projecting out, but sometimes it may be flipping inside to the model. So then which we need to flip those say normals. So then another say problem or the error which we need to rectify if at all, if you are finding these kind of errors, and then we need to rectify them. and you have incorrect normals, like in maybe your conversion algorithm may be giving incorrect normals. If you reverse calculate with the coordinates to the normals, so definitely there will be some kind of inconsistency, or there will be a deviation from the calculated to the software given values. So, and then we have some gaps in the sense there may be some missing of this triangles. So then I have one face here surface, I have another surface, so at the joining of these two surfaces even I have so one triangle got missed, say for example. So in that case it may become a gap over there. So if at all you have such kind of a gap, so next step is we need to slice this model. So while slicing it, if there is some gap here, so then the nozzle which it is trying to deposit, or a laser is trying to get that contour, but it may get confused. Why? Because it is not, it will become an infinite loop. So if it is a triangle is presented here, so you will get a closed say boundary. So because of this gap, so you never get a closed boundary. You may end up with an infinite loop, or you may end up with an open contour. It never become a closed contour. So that will create a problem while fabricating your model. So that is another problem which we need to address. And some kind of internal walls that it can be, even sometimes you have the two features that you have attached, and some kind of internal walls may lead to have another issue. And then finally even you may have some degeneracy in terms of either a topology or a geometric degeneracy, means in terms of even though you have three say vertices, so it may not be contributing an area of the triangle, but you have another say other extreme, though you have 3 points, but it is not contributing to any area of the triangle. Why? Because all three are in collinear. So you may have these kind of degeneracy, or you may have these kind of errors, or the kind of thing which we need to come across. So then sometimes we need to rectify them, we need to correct them. So how do you get corrected this? So then you may have other tools to be used to get it corrected. And then of course the last one, you may have some incorrect intersection. Say I have one triangle, I have another triangle, so then so none of the triangles so should overlap or should penetrate. So then it is not allowed. So then if at all, if there are some kind of thing which you come across, whether it is an excess triangle or it is a misplaced triangle, we need to identify, and we need to give a right position. And if it is an excess, then we need to remove that. So then that should be done by your say a correction algorithms or a correction tools that you are going to adapt for checking your STL file errors. So and then finally, so what is an valid and what is an invalid model? So if you are slicing a valid model, so then obviously you start with a 3D model and then slicing it into a 2D layers, and then finally your nozzle or your head is going to deposit a contour. So then if it is valid, means it's watertight, or it is you have several names of this. So if it is free from all the errors, then say it's a valid, and then you have a smooth transformation of this 3D into 2D and 2D into 1D in terms of your laser path. But if it is an error proven, say CAD model, so then you have some gap here, and your slicing plane which you are attempting to get the contour, but obviously it is an infinite loop which we have previously also discussed. So this slicing plane is say not say giving you, by joining those points at that level, so it is not giving a closed boundary, so it is giving an open say a curve or open boundary. So then you don't have a clear cut instruction to the nozzle or the laser to close this. Why? Because it may become infinite loop, and then there will be a build failure. There will ultimately the build failure may occur. So then to summarize, these are some of the challenges that an STL file is typically having, like some kind of duplicate information in terms of say vertex, in terms of normals, and there will be a leaks. Just now we have discussed some gaps or leaks or inconsistency among the normals as well as in the say vertices, and it does not scale well to the high resolution, and wherever you have some lattices, so it may not be properly represented at the higher resolutions, and even it does not support any color material orientation. So these are some of the challenges. Then how do you get address these challenges? So then ASTM has come out with a new proposed format called AMF. So that is additive manufacturing file format thing. And what is this, an AMF? AMF is basically an XML script. So you know the advantage of an XML script. So XML script, it's basically a meta format, like format of formats, and it's a text based, and you can easily read, you can easily write, and you can easily parse, and you can easily edit the tools, and you can extensible, highly compressible. With this, you can get a better result than the previous outgoing STL file representation. So then not only that, it's going to be a and volumetric information and the material information, not like STL. STL is a mesh, it is not a volumetric data, but it's going to be a volumetric data, and even it will be having the material assignment also, and it will be having the color option also, like which we previously you don't have with the STL file, but you have a color property also here. And material can be combined, like you have a multiple material or grading of the material, or lattice structures, or say cellular structures. So you can combine the materials, which that is the biggest advantage of any 3D printing technology. So while fabricating these kind of a grading of the materials or lattice structures and also, so then you could able to write from the design itself, you could able to represent those by using these AMF file formats. Even it can be a kind of an object that can be defined very easily in terms of AMF file format. So then it's going to address the any duplication leakages of your data. Why? Because it's an easy readable, and then say it's an XML script. So this XML script, so which we can easily address. So any duplication of data and any leakages is there in your say file, that it can easily identified, and it can easily rectified further, and we can easily compress this data. If you take a typical ASCII STL and binary STL and AMF may be in between this. But if you try to compress these same three file formats, and where you can get AMF is more compressible than a binary STL file, which you can see this is the compressed file results. So which its AMF is more compressible than a binary STL. So that's more compressibility is the advantage here once you adapt AMF file format. And then you may get doubt that how do you address your approximation problem. So approximation, previously it was a planar patch, the triangle, but the planar surface, the planar triangles are replaced with the curved triangles. So then this will be adapted as for your geometry. So you have the curvature, and the curvature with the curved triangle, it is getting, say, no approximation here, is exact one-to-one representation with this curved triangles, which you can, and even you can have a curved edges which you are having come across in your say model. So then it can be a curve, or you can have the edge tangents. So these edge tangents can also be introduced in your AMF file format. So this is another advantage where because of the curved triangles, you are not losing any data, unlike your STL file, which you are, and then it can be a subdivision is quite possible with this AMF file format. Means like say I have say single triangle, so 4 power 0 means I have 4 triangles, 4 power 1, 4 square, maybe I may go with the 16 number of you can do a lot of subdivisioning, 4 power n. You can do a lot of recursive subdivision of this. Say each triangle can be done with using the AMF file format. So, and then if you try to say find out the error of STL file versus your AMF file format with a single fold, that is 4 power 0, 4 power 1, 4 power 4 square, 4 cube, 4 power 4, and 4 power 6. So then if you go that much folds, and almost the error will be negligible. So like against your STL file, so it's giving a lot of error for the same number of triangles, then only it's worthwhile you compare with the STL and AMF file. So then which you can have these kind of advantages. Even the error is almost negligible once you come to the AMF. In contrast with the STL file, you have a plenty of error in your model. say then even you can add different materials. Say I can assign this particular region as one material, and then I can have other region, other material. So I can easily say assign different materials to the different regions of my AMF file format. In fact, material information is not there in STL file, but your printers can print in multiple materials and functionally graded materials. So then your CAD model representation must have these kind of attributes. And then even grading, as I'm talking about, like you can vary the composition across your length, like the grading of the material, functionally grading materials, like which you can grade the composition across the component, the object. So that can be done. You can grade them with a different composition. So then you can easily represent that. Why? Because your 3D printing, majority of the 3D printers can take up this job. Then why not your STL file? Otherwise, you may use some other tool or some other software to assign these kind of properties. But if the original native format, the neutral format is able to give, so that's wonderful, right? That's what ASTM is working out hardly on these kind of standards. And microstructure data also, that which you can even easily represent it. And then coming to the say what is the state of this status of this AMF file format even. So it is in a test under adoption, and the first revision has done, and recently they have done the second revision also. Then but still the adaptation is not so much great. But 3MF is more popular than the AMF. Maybe the reasons, the adoption, like say when it can be getting popularized, all the CAD/CAM vendors, they have to adopt this kind of AMF file format into their softwares. So then only you could able to, if you have a provision that you can save it as .amf file in your CAD software itself, so then only it is possible, right? So otherwise you have some converters is available in the web. You can do conversion from STL to AMF or vice versa. But if it is a single file format, then it could be very convenient, and we can save a lot of say in terms of time, or in terms of say the quality of the files that is getting represented, without transferring or without translating one format to other format. If it able to done in this kind of AMF file format, that's going to be a wonder which we can talk about. So then what could be the future plans for this kind of AMF say file formats? So like they are having a kind of plan to even incorporate tolerances. So as we know that it is something like a step, STEP, like say people may understand what is a step file once you have and CAD a user, and then further saving it as a kind of a step or IGS file format. But the step is the product design data. It's not the entire life cycle data. So means even the same way like AMF file also, the ASTM, they are trying to incorporate the tolerances, like the manufacturing tolerances. What could be the tolerance that you are looking at, and what could be the surface and depth textures, and data inscription, copyrights, and any external references and subassemblies, and process controls, and non-volumetric supporting kind of structures, and even non-mesh kind of a geometry, like a voxel based representation or a future based representation. So they are going up to that level. So then it's going to be the interesting stuff about the AMF file format once it come into a reality, or in the next revision of this AMF file format, if they could able to incorporate about these information about your AMF file format, that's going to be the next level of your CAD AMF or your 3D printing data that you could work on this. So of course, we can have other file formats in the future, or even in other space. So my talk will be focusing only on the say file format that is as such the CAD to the STL or AMF. The next step is the slicing of this data. So this, while slicing this data, which you may have different file formats, it's again a proprietary file formats. There is no neutral file format like STL or AMF in case of a three-dimensional model representation. But coming to the contour data or the sliced data, you don't have a standard say representation. Say you have a 3D systems, there is a one company, and you have Stratasys is another player, and you have US is another player. So then if you see all these, it's specific to a particular proprietary make of machines. It won't work for all the machines, but that's another issue. So maybe the reason may be a business strategy, but I don't know. But bringing them into a single platform, maybe I don't know the reasons, but so far it's not happening in that way. Say then each vendor, he may be having, say, like, why can't it be a G code, M code, like in case of your CNC machines, which it can have all the standards. But so far it is not happening in this 3D printing domain. So that's what you may have several file formats for the layered information. You don't have a common file format, a standard neutral file format for the sliced. I'm talking about the contour data after slicing the codes which are generated. So that will be still a proprietary specific SLC or SLI or CLI or RPI or a leaf, or maybe there is no standard available. Maybe in future we can expect maybe, but so far it's not happening. So right from 32 years of this journey of 3D printing or rapid prototyping, whatever you call, so it is not happening so far. And you may have other file translators which it may not be applicable for the 3D printing applications, but you may have IGS is the one file format normally you will come across for doing a finite element analysis. So you may use some package modeling and then other package to analysis, and then obviously you may use some .IGS, you will be saving it, or if for the printing purpose HPGL is the other file translator. And for medical data, and this is what I'm talking about, say you have the step data that is for the product model data. So then step, that is standard for exchange of product model data. That's the entire life cycle data consists of. But just I want to give a kind of throwing some light. So contrasting the CAD state of art and the 3D printing state of art. But still, let me conclude in that way, still there is a gap, or still there is a, say it is not in tuning with the CAD CAM space to the 3D printing space. Still there is a gap to address. Yeah, these are the things which we can. So let me conclude my talk here. Let me summarize what I have done for the 1 hour 15 minutes or 1 hour 10 minutes or so. So what I have done, so then we have started with the importance of the 3D printing designs, that's going to be the vital. The design aspects of 3D printing is most critical than hardware aspects. So of course, one can get maximum benefit of 3D printing. So that will tell you the design of your model ready for your 3D printing. So so that's the thing which we discussed. And then we have talked a bit about the tools and the softwares for 3D printing tools, right from the CAD tools, model capturing tools in case of reverse engineering or a 3D digitizing systems. And we talked about a repository kind of digital libraries that is available, and medical image data, how it is getting convertible and making ready for the 3D printing file formats. So that's what we have talked about, the tools and the softwares. And we have discussed in length about the STL file formats, the structure, syntax, and semantics of the STL file. And then we have thoroughly discussed the advantages of this STL file and problems of the STL file and the same, and then some challenges and how these challenges are getting addressed with the AMF file format, which is recently developed by ASTM, and then future plans for the AMF file format, and some maybe in future, which you can expect even more, a neutral file format or a common platform of these But that may not be possible also, but I don't know the reasons, but so far it is not happening. But maybe if at all, if it happens, it may be more, what you call, more adoption of this technology. So these are some of the bottlenecks, or where this technology, why it is not so popular further. Maybe it should not curtail your proprietariness, should not curtail the kind of technology that it should rapidly grow. But sometimes this proprietariness may be curtailing such kind of developments. Maybe that's my view. But like say, but still it is not happening for the past 32 years. But anyway, but once this patent is getting expired, maybe definitely it may open the doors to the next level, like what we are enjoying for the polymer printing. But I'm much worrying about the metal printing. Still, it is very costly. Why? Because recently we purchased a machine. Then my next slide will show you the facilities. But still, um, when it will be reached to a common person, means the cost of these machines and the materials should be as less or as on par with the conventional say technologies. So then only that's the success of any technological developments aspects, right? Say anyway, but still, but one day it may happen. It may take some time. So maybe down the lane, 10, 15 years, maybe all these metal, the second generation technologies, patents also getting expired, started getting expired by this year, next year, some other key metal and ceramic composite patents of these technologies are getting expired. So maybe you can expect this technology further, say, anybody can afford for metal printing. But so far, it's very costly. It's not that way like a polymer printing which you are enjoying it. But anyway, so let me conclude my talk here just by giving some facilities what we have at NIT Warangal. Of course, Yogesh has given in the introduction, like which we have a metal 3D printer installed, but it's very costly machine. It is around 2 crore machine to process the metal materials. This is from the powder bed system from 3D Systems USA. And then we have couple of Stratasys make FDM based polymer printers, and we have a couple of scanners, a couple of other makes and couple of scanners, and muffle furnace and short pinning machine for post processing of this metal parts. And we have well equipped with the softwares in terms of 3D printing softwares, like which we have Mimic software, we have a Magic software, and we have a Thematic software, and we have a Ketli software, and we have a 3D Expert software. This 3D Expert software comes with this metal a printer which can capable of say designing for machine setup, topology optimization, simulation of your what you call interlayer kind of the thermal phenomenon. Some extent you can do some simulation of your process also by using this software. So yeah, these are some of the facilities that we have at NIT Warangal as far as 3D printing or additive manufacturing is concerned. And if you are interested, even you can subscribe my channel in the YouTube, that is AM Lab NIT Warangal, by going to YouTube channel. You can subscribe. If you are interested, you can visit. So yeah, I think I have done from my side. So then I will be handing over to Dr. Yogesh to have some kind of question and answers or some clarifications getting